Hey guys, my name is Sophie Brancho. I am the owner of Sage Designs and the founder of eventcreatives.com.
Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
Today I want to talk about what makes the difference between someone who's going to last in this industry and who's going to fail out. My name is Sophie Brancho. I am the owner of Sage Designs and the founder of eventcreatives.com. Thanks for being here again today. So I have been in this industry for over a decade, but before I got into this industry, I was in the workforce for about a decade. I started working when I was 14 or 15 years old, and I worked at McDonald's, I worked at a truck stop, I worked for the military, I worked as a photographer for a portrait studio, and I never had so much interest in how I got my job as I have being in the event industry. People often ask, as most of you probably already know, what made you start that business? How did you get into that? It's very common. People are really curious. And I think it's because for most jobs, there's some sort of clear path on how you get from not having that job to having that job. And for lawyers and doctors and engineers, that path can be clearly laid out as early as high school. But in the event industry, there's no clear path. People come into this industry at all ages, from all kinds of different backgrounds, and it's what makes our industry really unique and really diverse. The barrier to entry in this industry is also very low. There's no certification required to be in this industry. All you need to do is know how to put up a website and maybe buy some basic equipment if you're a photographer or a DJ to get started. That's it. So because of this, we see thousands of new vendors popping up in every city in this industry every single year, and most of them will fail. So today I want to talk about what makes the difference between a business that's going to succeed in this industry and who's not going to make it. So to me, there are three major factors that determine whether or not someone's going to succeed in this industry. The first one is stamina. This industry is based heavily on trust. Most of my clients come to me from vendors I've worked with in the past, from venues I've worked at in the past, or from past clients. Now, the only way to really establish trust is to deliver consistent quality over a period of time. That means that you can't just pop up one day and ask people to start referring you. No one is going to do that. You have to establish that you're trustworthy and that you're going to deliver. So because of that, you have to look at running your business like you're running a marathon. This isn't a sprint. You can't pop up tomorrow, get a bunch of new business, and suddenly be the next big thing. I always look at my business like I'm running a really long race. And I'm sure that there's a finish line out there somewhere, but I'm looking at my business 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road and trying to picture what that might look like. And my finish line is still far beyond that. And I know that in this marathon, I'm going to come up against hurdles, all kinds of challenges. And every time I come up against one, I can look at it and keep it in perspective. I know that this is a challenge. I want to know how to overcome it. I want to know how to do better in the future. But ultimately, it's just one part of this really long race that I'm running. So that's the first key, stamina. The second key is your motivation. What's keeping you here? Now, to me, there's two different categories of motivations. There's those passion-driven motivations, and those are things that usually start with I love. I love weddings. I love events. I love people. I love the vendors that I work with. I love being able to be creative and to create. On the other side, you've got personal-driven reasons, and those are the things that are a little bit selfish. That's okay. They're important too. And that's stuff like financial freedom, having flexibility over your own schedule, and being able to be your own boss. And some of those reasons might even be a little petty. It could be that someone somewhere told you that you probably weren't going to make it in this industry, and you have a drive to prove them wrong. That's okay too. So to me, you really need to have a balance between these two motivations. If your only reason for being in this industry is because you love events, that will not be strong enough to sustain you through some of the major challenges you're going to come up against. Because loving events is not going to be strong enough to hold you up when you have clients yelling at you that you've ruined their life. When you have a client or a parent who's focused on one tiny little detail that went wrong, when so many things went right and so many things went great, and you put your time and your energy and your money and your love into producing this event for them, and they throw it all aside for one tiny little thing. Eventually, those little things are going to eat away at you, and you just won't have the stamina anymore to keep going. On the other hand, if all of your reasons are very personal driven, they're very selfish, then you're going to quickly learn that there are way easier ways to make money and to have flexibility in your life in this world. And this event industry is definitely not one of the easiest ways to do that. So as soon as another opportunity comes along that gives you the flexibility that you're looking for, gives you the financial freedom you're looking for, you're going to take that opportunity very quickly. Finally, the last thing that's going to determine whether or not you succeed in this industry is your ability to learn and to adapt. I have a huge love of learning. I absorb audiobooks like it's my job because in large part it is. And I listen to podcasts and I consume every little bit of business information that I possibly can because I want to be able to contribute as much as I can to my business and be as valuable to my business as I can be. You also have to be very aware of how the world is changing around you and be willing to adapt. This industry is constantly in flux. It's constantly changing, and you have to be willing to move with that change. So you should have an idea of what your business might look like 20 years down the road. And for me, I'll give you an example of one thing that I've sometimes thought about is this rise of self-driving cars. So I have this vision of maybe 20 years, 30 years down the road where there's going to be a service kind of like Uber, but for delivery trucks, where a delivery truck, I can call up on my phone, they'll come over to my office, I'll be able to load them up, they'll go to a venue for me, and then my team will be there to unload, and there will be no actual need for me to own or maintain vehicles. That's huge, and that's something that I'm thinking that might be a thing in the future. That's just one of many things that could happen. All right, guys, so that's all I have for today. So what do you think? Stamina, your motivations, and your ability to learn and adapt. That's what I feel is going to determine whether or not you're really able to succeed in this business or not. Have I missed something? Is there any other big factors that you feel contribute to someone's success in this business? If so, leave a comment, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the major mishap that I thought for sure was going to end my career. If you don't want to miss that, be sure to subscribe and sign up for my newsletter, and I'll chat with you guys next week. Bye.